If you're new, welcome. Great to have you. My name is Josh, and we pastor Grace City Church, and we are making our way through the Gospel of John, and we're looking at the 7 I am statements of Jesus in the Gospel of John, where he takes the Jesus selfie of himself and explains through metaphors who he is, why he came, and what he's here to do. And so we're looking at those glimpses of Jesus through the Gospel. So if you got a Bible, and I hope you do, I want to invite you to open it to John chapter 10 is where we're going to be today, John chapter 10. And while you're opening your Bible there, I will pray for us and we'll dive in. Heavenly Father, we lean into you this morning, asking for your help and for your grace and for your mercy. As we open up your word, Father, our heart, our intention is not to hear the words of an ancient text or to hear the ramblings of a hacking 38-year-old. We want to encounter and meet with the living God. Nothing less will we be satisfied with. We want to encounter not just the words of the page, but the one who authored the words on the page. We want to meet with the one to whom the words point us to. So Jesus, would you come and be present by your Holy Spirit, moving and working, convicting, encouraging, building up, tearing down, imparting faith. Lord, whatever the unique and specific and personal work needed with each individual person here, would you take this message that is preached from this text and apply it to their heart? And we'll give you glory for it in Jesus' name. All God's people said together, amen. When I was a little kid, I was 4 years old, and I asked him if I should tell this story, and he's like, I don't know, so I'm going to go with it. And if I shouldn't have told it, you'll email me in third service. We'll be better for it. So I'm 4 years old, and I'm with my aunt, and she is church shopping in Seattle. I'm 4, so that would be 34 years ago. And she's just moved to Seattle, wanting to see if she can find a place to land as a church. And so my mom and dad drive over the mountains to help my mom's sister, my aunt, find a place. And so fun Aunt Robin is there sitting, waiting for the service to start. And I say, apparently, I have no recollection of this story, I say, I got to go to the bathroom. Aunt Robin says, hey, no problem, I'll take that. So she grabs my hand, and she is walking me through the church. And she's new, so she doesn't know where the bathrooms are. And apparently, we looked and looked and looked and looked and could not find bathrooms. And finally, after much searching, we find a bathroom. And apparently, I'm pretty, ready to find the door, so to speak. And we see it. And she's like, well, there it is. And I announced to the entire church lobby of everybody there, as a 4-year-old, I say, well, there's the Rocky Reach damn door. Except I left out the Rocky Reach part. And I said it really loud. And so everyone's like, looks, sees my aunt, thinks probably she's my mom, and they're like, well, how do you talk at home? And Robin's like, needless to say, she didn't land at that church. She moved on. But in honor of Mother's Day, I wanted to tell that story because I learned to talk like a sailor from my mom, who talks like a sailor. So I'm totally kidding. I'm so bummed she's not here. She's getting on a plane to go to Israel. Otherwise, that would have been so great to make fun of her in the front row. But no, she's not here. She's going to Israel. Missed my mom on Mother's Day. I already sent her my Mother's Day text. Love my mom. If you got one, tell her you love her. My goodness, moms are just the most incredible beings on the planet. So love you, moms. Thanks for being awesome. And that's my Mother's Day story that connects me now quickly to Jesus, who says he is the door. See how I segue that? You like that? That was good, huh? There's the door. Okay. Jesus is the gate. If you got your Bible, and I hope you do, John chapter 10 is where we're going to be. Should I tell a story for second service? You okay with that? Okay, here we go. I got 2 yeses. John chapter 10, verse 1. Now, what's a little artificial about this is that this story really starts in chapter 9. If you don't know this, I'll let you know. It's totally fine if you don't know this because we learn new things all the time. But the chapters and verses aren't divinely inspired. So they were put into the Bible later to help us find things. So when this chapter 10 starts, it's not as if a new story is starting, actually. We see that it's just a continuation of the ongoing saga of chapter 9. And in chapter 9, Jesus had healed a blind man. Typically, normally a good thing. But the churchy crowd got kind of bent out of shape because he did it on a Sunday. I'll say it again. He did it on the Sabbath. Yeah, exactly. You're tracking now. It's like morons, but that's where they were back then, okay? So they get all bent out of shape about it, and they're like, he must be a demon because he healed somebody on the Sabbath, which is flawless logic if you think about it. Not really. And so they start attacking his family, and they start bullying the healed man's mother and father. They try to bully him. And what he says is, look, whether he's a sinner, I don't know. What I do know is I used to be blind, and now I can see, okay? What I know is I woke up this morning, and everything was dark, and now I can see everything. So you call him what you want to call him, but I'm calling him, at least, at very minimum, the healer of the blind. And they kind of get bent out of shape about that, and they go to Jesus, and Jesus kind of lines him out. So that's all happening previously to what we're going to read now. And this text, this parable, and in this teaching is directed to the Pharisees who, and the irony of the text is, one man's getting set free from his blindness, the others are stuck in their blindness. One man is seeing more and more and more as the story goes on, and the others are seeing less and less and less. One man is physically blind, and the other group of people are spiritually blind. And when the blind man came to the temple, they said, is this guy blind because he sinned as a child? Or maybe his parents sinned as a child? And Jesus is like, what kind of understanding of your father is that? No, he was born blind so that I might be glorified in the healing of him in your presence, and then tell the story and make this point. So there's a bit of a context here to the story that we're kind of diving into the middle of, okay? That's the context. Here's the teaching. Chapter 10, verse 1. Truly, truly, or amen, amen, or very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate but climbs in by some other way is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listens to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. There's a ton here. We're just setting up the context for where we want to go. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him long before they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Okay? So he lays out this parable, this figure of speech, this metaphor. They're like completely blind, clueless to what he's teaching, so he goes to clarify for them. Therefore, Jesus said, again, this is where we'll focus, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. You get the sense Jesus is like, I am the gate for the sheep. It's like, hello, spell it on the wall. I teach, I heal, I do miracles, and you're still stupid. So let me spell it out as clear as I can. Where to go? I am the gate for the sheep. I told a story about a gate and a sheep. Like I'm the gate, you're the sheep. We tracking? And they're like, keep going. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Here's the brilliance of Jesus' teaching. We saw a few weeks ago that whether or not you acknowledge him as Lord, you cannot ignore that he is the most stunning human being to walk the planet. More songs sung, more books written, more disputes and arguments waged, more worship given, and more hatred poured out on this one man than any other human being. If you know my brother Kerry, can you picture my brother Kerry? Who said, woo? What was that about? Is he that much better looking than me, really? Man, that kind of hurt. Anyways, I was hoping for like, yeah, you know my brother Kerry? Yeah. Not like, oh yeah. If you know my brother Kerry, Kerry is 33. He's 33, he'll turn 34 next week. He's 33 right now. So if you picture Kerry up here, like that's Jesus. And then he died. And he rose again and went to heaven. But like Jesus never reached 34. Jesus was never my age. He was a young man. He accomplished all this in the span of 3 years, public teaching ministry. Stunning, profound impact on human history. But what makes his teaching so incredible is that it's so simple that what I'm about to describe, your 7-year-old could track if they're listening. But don't make the leap from simple to simplistic because it's anything but. The teaching of Jesus in saying very simply, I am the gate, is profoundly wrought with gravitas and tension and ironies and enough controversy to get him killed. So what is Jesus saying when he's saying, I am the gate? I think it's interesting to note that when Jesus wanted to communicate, he never spun things in these wild mysteries that no one could understand. He didn't liken himself to quantum physics and blow people's mind. He said, I'm like a gate. Because I think what Jesus wanted to accomplish was to teach a principle that would preach a sermon everywhere you go in life. You see, there's some folks that say Jesus is irrelevant, he's old. What could a 2,000-year-old teaching have to do with my life today? Like we saw Ted Turner argue. Jesus is so irrelevant. Yeah, he's so irrelevant that the illustrations he used, you run into 30 times a day. Because Jesus said, when you wake up and walk into your bathroom, I want you to think of a door. When you leave your house, you go through a door. When you go into your place of work, you go through a door. When you open your car, you get into your car through a door. When you came in this building, you pass through a gate, and before you leave this room, you'll go back out a gate. Jesus is saying, I want 1,000 mini sermons getting preached into your face through wherever you go in the world, every day, all day, the rest of your life. Jesus is so irrelevant, except the analogies, metaphors he gave, you run into every day in the year 2017 here in Wenatchee, Washington. Irrelevant? I think you're the one who's irrelevant. Jesus is profoundly so relevant that the teaching he gives to a bunch of Middle Eastern Bedouins still resonates with a bunch of sophisticated modern Westerners like us today. It's incredible. So what is Jesus saying when he says, I am the gate? I think here at least six things, like I said, six things, that Jesus meant when he said, I am the gate. At least six, there's more, we'll keep it to six for time's sake. Number one, when he says, I am the gate, Jesus is saying, I am utterly necessary. When Jesus says, I am the gate, he's wanting you to hear, I'm utterly necessary. If you had a house, and it was a beautiful house and a safe house, and a warm house and a welcoming house, and a house where there was good food and good drink and good people and good fellowship, and like at least 7 fireplaces, that's my ideal house, places to burn wood in every room. It's just this incredible home, and it had all these amazing windows, but no doors. The house is useless to me because I can't get in. And what Jesus is saying is, my Father dwells in a house. And if all of that house had was windows where you could look in and see the warmth, and you could hear the sound of laughter and singing and fellowship and joy, but there was no door, that house wouldn't be a house of mercy, it would be a house of misery. You would be just close enough to what you know you were born for to make you utterly miserable because you had no way to access it. So when Jesus says, I am the gate, I am the door, what he's saying to him, I am utterly necessary for you to access the room, for you to experience the presence of the person, namely God the Father, that you know you were born for. Without me, it's just windows. But with me, there's a door. When Jesus says, I am the gate, he's saying, number one, that he's utterly necessary in order to gain access to the presence of God. But secondly, Jesus is saying that he's absolutely exclusive. Notice the definitive article that Jesus uses. He does not say, I am a gate. I am one of the many gates. Jesus says, I am the gate. I am the door. Jesus did not come preaching many ways to the Father. He said, I am the gate. If you want to get to the Father who's on the other side of the gate, you have to go through me. Nobody will see the Father unless they've first seen me. And this is what gets Jesus killed, and what will get you killed if you preach it in some places in the world. Jesus did not come saying there are lots of options to choose from. There's a smorgasbord of saviors to select from. Jesus came saying, I am utterly necessary, and I am absolutely exclusive in that there are no other doors. There's one door. Every other door that claims to be a door is a false door leading to destruction. There is one way, one truth, one life, one gate, one door. Oh, and by the way, I'm it. This is what C.S. Lewis was meaning last week or 2 weeks ago when I read you the quote from Mere Christianity where he said, Jesus did not come making claims that could leave you indifferent to who he was. Either he is absolute lunatic or he is absolutely Lord. There is no middle ground. He didn't come saying, there are many gates to choose from. Whatever gate's right for you and works for you, that's your gate. I'm one gate. I tend to like myself as a gate, but hey, if you don't like me, try any other gate. This isn't like multiple ways to get onto the subway, right? There's one gate, there's one door, and Jesus is like, I'm it. No apologies, no defense needed, no explanation. That's reality. I'm creator, I'm God, I'm Lord. I set the rules, and those are them. When Jesus says, I am the gate, he's saying I'm utterly necessary. He's saying I'm absolutely exclusive and that I'm the only one. And he's saying, thirdly, that he is widely inclusive. Jesus is not just utterly necessary or absolutely exclusive. He's widely inclusive. Look at the text. Verse 9, I am the gate. Next word, whoever enters will be saved. And this is the wonderful paradox of Jesus. Jesus didn't say, I'm the gate, and if you're black, you're in. I'm the gate, and if you're white, you're in. I'm the gate, and if you're brown, you get in. I'm the gate, and if you're man, or if you're woman, or if you're an executive, or if you're blue collar, or if you're a street sweeper, or if you're, a McDonald's worker, or if you're, socially up here, or economically down here, or only the educated, or only the intelligent, or only the simple, we're going to stick it to the man. Jesus didn't come saying, only these folks can come in. He's saying, I am the only way, and whoever wants can come in. It's the exclusive claim of Jesus combined with the all-inclusive offer of Jesus to the world. Jesus is very clear on how many gates there are. One. And he's very clear who's invited to step through the gate. Whoever. Man, woman, child, smart, simple, intelligent, popular, rich, poor. No qualifications, no discrimination, all-inclusive invitation. Jesus' analogy, metaphor of saying I'm the gate, very, very simple, not simplistic. He's utterly necessary. He's absolutely exclusive. He's widely and wildly inclusive. And fourthly, Jesus is saying, I give immediate access to the Father. Now, we all know this intuitively. Doors immediately transfer you from one place to another. Thresholds offer passageway, right? Stargates, if you're a sci-fi person, stargates immediately transfer you to another realm, right? Gates, doors take you from where you are currently to somewhere you weren't previously before you went through the door. Not difficult to understand, very, very simple. But here's what Jesus did not say. I think it's instructive for us. Jesus did not say, I am the ladder upon which you must climb. I am the wall that you must breach. I am the long journey you must embark upon, and if you prove that you have the stuff to last the journey or breach or climb the wall or make your way up the ladder, then we'll consider this whole salvation piece. Jesus says, I am the door. I am the gate, meaning when you step through me, it's instant access into the presence of God. It's not rungs you have to climb. It's not statuses you have to obtain. It's not a destination you can hopefully arrive at if you just stick with it long enough. Instant access to God the Father through the gate, through the door, through the Son, Jesus Christ. Meaning you could have come in here outside the presence of God and you could leave inside the house, immediate presence of God because of Jesus. That's craziness. That's no other religion like it. No other offer like it. No other man or teaching like it. Jesus is not just utterly necessary. He's not just absolutely exclusive. He's not just widely inclusive. He's also instant access to the Father. I was outside, now I'm inside. I was cold, now I'm warm. I was in danger, now I'm safe. It was dark, and now it's light by the fire. It's just like that. You mean I could have walked in a dirty, rotten, guilt-ridden, shame-filled, arrogant, stiff-necked, stubborn, blind sinner and leave a love-accepted, adopted son or daughter of God? That's what I'm saying. That's why we call this good news. There's no 7 steps to enlightenment for me to offer you. One gate, one door, Jesus Christ. Nobody like him. So he's necessary, he's exclusive, he's inclusive, he's direct access to the Father. But he's fifthly saying that I give liberty and satisfaction. Look how he says it here in the text. I am the gate, verse 9. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and come out. There's the freedom piece. Oftentimes people think Jesus as a door is a prison door. Well, once I come in, I can never get out. Jesus saying, no, what you've always longed for, namely freedom and liberation, I offer in bushels. Because what you've been seeking liberation from has actually enslaved you. What you've been seeking freedom from has actually made you a prisoner. But I actually offer true freedom. It's interesting to note safety and freedom, safety and liberation is what we what we all want. But oftentimes the deal gets struck where we sacrifice one for the other. We'll offer you safety, just give up your freedom. And it's happening more so in our country every day. We'll keep you safe, just give up these freedoms. Well, I want these freedoms. Okay, great. Well, then we can't keep you safe. Jesus doesn't make that deal. He's like, you want safety and freedom? You come to me. And what keeps us from going to the door is this fear that we'll have to give up freedom and miss out on something. So if that's where you're at, I just want you to hear me say to you, miss out on what? Well, if I follow Jesus and walk in his ways, I won't get to have STDs over here. Yeah, you're really missing out. What could you name me? What could you bring to me? What could you put on the table? See, well, I'd miss out on that, then I'd go, oh, well, you got a point there. You find someone who's been following Jesus in sweet fellowship for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You go find my mom and dad. You go find Keith and Deb Stennis. And you ask them, hey, was it worth it? They'd be like, what? Everything you gave up to follow Jesus. They'd look at you. They'd chuckle. And then my counsel to you would be to buckle up. Was it worth it? Are you kidding me? What have I lost that I have not been given back 100-fold in the person of Jesus? What did I give up that I have not been given back 1,000-fold in the presence of the Father? There's no deal to make here. Jesus offers liberation, what you've always wanted, and he offers satisfaction. Look how he says it. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in, and they will come in and they will go out and they will find pasture. What do sheep want? Something to eat. We're going to go through this text in detail in a few weeks and see the metaphor get filled out when Jesus says, I'm the shepherd. And it's interesting to note, shepherds are courageous, shepherds are intelligent, shepherds are loyal, shepherds are men and women of valor. Sheep are dumb and they smell bad. And that's about it. If you're looking for this complementary metaphor, you're not going to find it in Jesus being the shepherd and you being the sheep. I have researched online and tried to find positive things about sheep. Not a whole lot out there. But sheep need to eat. Sheep don't know how to eat, where to find it. They're just hungry. That was really lame, by the way. My kids are going to let me know that was a really bad one. That was a bad one. Yeah, good. Yeah, this is going down real quick. New folks are like, this guy's weird. Jesus, as the shepherd, leads his sheep to pastures. And then when you get them there, you'll find out the sheep often eat bad things that give them gas and cause them to blow up. So the shepherd's got to be like, no, don't eat that thing, stupid. Eat that thing. So the shepherd's got to like spoon feed a sheep like a 3-year-old. But yet every sheep needs food, and you and I long for satisfaction. Jesus said, hey, you follow me. You go through door A. You go through the Jesus gate. You come in, you come out. Freedom, liberation, safety, and satisfaction beyond your wildest imaginations. Because we saw Jesus came not as the broccoli of life, the bread of life, remember? Not as the Brussels sprouts of life, but the carbs of life. Jesus came to satisfy our deepest longings. Jesus says, I'm the gate. I'm the gate through which you can find those rich green pastures. And lastly, when Jesus says, I'm the gate, he's saying that I bring fullness of life. Look how he says it, verse 10. The thief comes not only to steal and kill and destroy, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. The lie is fullness of life lies outside of Christ. I'm going to sow my oats, have a good time, mess around, and then when I grow up and settle down and get serious and responsible, then I'll lock into following Jesus. You are so missing out. And if you're here and you have not stepped through the gate of Christ, you have not walked through the door of Jesus, and you're checking it out as a doubter or a critic or someone who just comes because your parents bring you, I want you to stay awake at night wondering how much life you're missing out on that lies on the other side of the gate, Jesus Christ. There's no fullness of life outside of the author of life. You're just kidding yourself. Jesus said, I came to give them life in the fullness thereof. I came that they might experience all they were created for. Some of you need to just not be able to sleep at night wondering, am I falling short of all of God's intentions for me simply because I failed to walk through gate Jesus? And the answer is yes. Fullness of life lies on the other side of the gate, not on this side of it. Jesus said, I am the gate. And in doing so, he said, you know what? I'm absolutely necessary, exclusive, inclusive. All are welcome to come through the single gate. And I'm the only one who can offer direct access to the Father, liberation, freedom, and safety, and satisfaction. And I'm the only one who in obeying, loving, worshiping, following, there can be found fullness of life. This is a radical claim, far beyond anything Muhammad, Gandhi, or Joseph Smith ever even imagined saying. This is what got him killed. No middle ground with Jesus. I'm not a gate. I'm not one of the better gates. I'm the gate. Now, what's the big idea? Jesus has the gate. Brings salvation, liberty, access, egress, all for the sake of nourishment. I can come in, I can come out, I can go, I can come, I can stay. I can actually enjoy the home to which I was born for when I walk through Jesus, the gate. Now, the question becomes, what does Jesus as the gate imply about you? Number one, it implies separation. Right? I mean, where there's a gate, there must be a wall. Or where there's a door, there must be a house. Meaning, unless I utilize the gate, unless I access the door, unless I step over the threshold, I will be separated from what's on the other side. And Jesus is saying, all have fallen short because of their sin. You were made for the inside, but you were born in your sin outside. You were made for relationship with God, the Father, but because of your sin, you've been separated from Him, meaning you need passageway back to Him. When Jesus says, I am the gate, he's implying separation, which is quite offensive, but there's a second thing that he implies, and that is hope. He's not saying, you're outside the house, too bad, only windows. He's saying, you're outside the house, and good news, there's a front door. There's no back door, there's no side door, there's no garage door, but there is a front door. Oh, and I'm in. Now, what are some ways that people misuse Jesus as the door? 7 ways people misuse Jesus as the gate. Number 1, some people admire the door. You know, look at that door, it's so beautiful. Look at the hinges on that thing. Man, look at the mechanism and how it locks. So, it opens and not a creak. Look at the weight and the size and the detail of the door. That is one beautiful door. I mean, there's lots of doors, and that's one of them. They admire the door. Newsflash, admiring the door is not the same as using the door. Admiring the door isn't the same as walking through the door. In fact, if you just admire the door, you tip your cards to reveal you don't know what the door's about. Because the door is saying, I'm the only door, you're on fire, there's a pool on the other side, it's open, you want to come in? You're like, no, I'll just admire from here. Then you're an idiot. If all you do is admire the door, but never use the door, it says more about you than it does the door. Jesus did not come merely to be admired. Jesus came to be worshiped. Jesus came to be your all in all, not just something that you look at from a distance. Second way we misuse the door, some people occasionally knock on the door. You know, come on in. No, I don't need to come in. Hey, good to see you. Hey. Quick question. Could you hit the floodlights over here? I'm working on building an idol out here, and it's a little dark. So could you just kind of help me out? Thank you. Hey, smells good. Hey, could I borrow some eggs, please? I'm trying to bake some living bread over here for myself. I'm just short of the ingredients. Could I borrow some eggs and some flour and a spoon and a bowl? And an oven, and some power, and a recipe, right? I mean, I have nothing out here to bake living bread, but I'm going to give it a shot. And we knock on the door, and we ask for stuff. We don't come in the door. We just knock on the door and ask those inside to toss us a few crumbs every once in a while. Make no mistake. Viewing Jesus as your cosmic bellboy, you throw, desperate prayers up to when things are bad, doesn't mean you've used the door. Doesn't mean you've walked through the door. It just means that you subconsciously know the door's there and there's something good on the other side, but you're still too stubborn to walk through it. Another way we misuse the door is we sit on the step outside the door. Some folks admire the door. Some folks knock on the door occasionally. Other folks just sit out there. What are you doing? I'm just sitting here next to the door. There's a door? Yeah, I love the door. It's great. Your mom and dad just went in. Yeah, that's cool for them. That's great. Your friends are going in. I know. I love it. Isn't it great? Make no mistake. Sitting outside the door is not the same as using the door. Come to church with your mom. Come to church with your dad. Come to church with your friend. Come to church with your wife. Come to church with your husband. Doesn't mean you've gone in the door. It's a single file door that you have to walk through on your own power, on your own 2 feet, of your own choice. I got lots of friends who've gone in the door, and I'm sitting right here. I can almost reach out and touch it. I'm super close here. That means nothing. Sitting next to the door doesn't mean you've gone to the door. Sitting around the church, sitting around Christians, hanging out with good moral people doesn't mean you know Jesus. The fourth way we misuse the gate, some people jealously guard the door. This is my favorite pet peeve. They write articles about the door. They write blogs about the door. They read books about the door. They get degrees on the door. They even lead some churches and talk about the door. They've just never gone the door themselves. I mean, if someone criticizes the door, man, they'll jump on them and beat the tar out of them. How dare you say that about the door? But there's no evidence in their life that they've ever gone through the door. Just because you know a lot about the door doesn't mean you've used the door. We tracking here? Just because you know a lot about Jesus doesn't mean you know. People who do lots of things in Jesus' name that I watch and observe and experience myself have very little aroma of the power of Jesus himself. Paul never asked the church in the New Testament, do you have a decision for Jesus? Or do you have knowledge of Jesus? Or do you have facts about Jesus? Paul always asks, do you have the power of Jesus? Don't kid yourself thinking, because I know a lot about the door, I've used the door. There's lots of folks who know lots about God and can spit up all sorts of facts that will arrive at Judgment Day, and he'll go, depart from me, I knew you not. Didn't we do wondrous signs in your name? Yeah, you did, for your own glory. Just because you defend the door doesn't mean you've used the door. Because you find out once you've used the door, it needs no defending. Yes, think, yes, right, yes, articulate the truth, but just let the lion out of the cage. Don't put the lion in the cage and then try to fight things off with it. Just freaking let it out the door and it'll do just fine on its own. Preach Jesus, proclaim Jesus, unpack the glories and the mysteries and the beauty of Jesus, and he'll do just fine on his own. Fifth way we misuse the gate. Some people hit their head trying to use the door. There's the door. I found it. I know which way it is. Look out, I'm coming through. Their back's too straight, their head's too high, their pride's too deep. Door wasn't built for them. You see, to get in the door, you have to bow your head. Not in a groveling on your knees, crawling to God, begging for mercy if you think you've groveled enough, you're in. But you don't get in with an arrogant spirit. You don't get in with a prideful spirit. You don't get in with a, hey, look at me, Jesus, aren't you so glad and lucky I'm here on the team. You can't get in the door with your head held high. It's the head bowed low that accesses the door of Jesus. Sixthly, some people get stuck by the load of good works they're trying to carry in. Hey there, God, coming through. Look, here I am, Hey, little problem here. Give me a minute. And Jesus is like, no deal. The pack of good works, take it off. You don't get to come in with your backpack of good stuff you've done and the laundry list of good works you've accomplished as if those gave you access to the door. Jesus is the door. You get in through him and his work and his life and his death alone. And if you try to bring a backpack full of your stuff, the door just won't work. Because with the backpack of stuff, you're saying the door isn't enough. I need to add to the door to make it work. And Jesus is like, no deal. You don't get saved by Jesus and your good works. We're saved not by works, but by grace through faith, that Jesus might get the glory. And lastly, some folks misuse the door by trying to get through the door with their backpack full of shame, and it won't come in either. The Father is so good and so kind and gracious that in his mercy and in his wisdom, he designed a door that you can't get in with your shame. You can't get in with the monkey of guilt on your back. He's like, nope. Lay down the guilt. Lay down the shame. Lay down the attempts at good works or making up what you think you lack. Lay all of that down and just come in as you are. Head bowed low. Heart humble before Jesus, openly receiving the invitation to step into the very presence and immediate presence of God himself, the Father, through the gate, Jesus Christ. I'm so grateful God designed a door big enough for me to drag my good works through or to pack in my guilt and shame through. There was a Westerner who was talking with a Middle Eastern shepherd I was reading this week. he was asking him, the story goes, about where he keeps the sheep penned up. And the shepherd said, he said, I put him in a pen outside the house here. And don't think like, walls, barn, huge structure. Think, rocks, humble rocks stacked here and there, and then some briar, badges on top, keep things from coming over the top. And there was this big open space. And the Westerner said, what's an open space? And he said, that's where the sheep come in and go out. And the Westerner said, well, where's the gate? And the shepherd said, well, I'm the gate. And he's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, that's where I lay down at night. I lay down in the opening. Nothing leaves except over my body. Nothing gets in except over my dead body. I'm the gate. Jesus said, I'm the gate. Jesus is personalizing access to the Father. Remember John's purpose? In John chapter 20, verse 30, Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book, but these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. You may have fullness of life. You may come and go. You may have the pasture your heart longs for. You may have fullness of life. That's John's purpose in writing the accounts of Jesus here. And then you remember the quote from C.S. Lewis I gave you? This is the abbreviated version. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. You cannot shut him up for a fool. You can't spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to. When Jesus said, I'm the gate, he's saying you got to make a choice, because Jesus changes everything. There's no stasis in Jesus' presence. When he steps into the room, things move. You either move away from him and reject him, or you move towards him and embrace him. And it happens at the end of our text we'll see next week. He gets done teaching, and some say, he's a demon, and others say, he's divine. What do you say? Because here's the last thing I want you to hear. The door won't always be open. In Luke chapter 13, Jesus says the way is wide to destruction. The path is narrow and the door is small, the way to life. And some of you will come and knock on the door, but it will already be closed, for the keeper of the house has closed it. And once he closes it, it will not be opened. Some of you need to leave with a sense of urgency that the door is open to you now in an exclusively inclusive offer, but it will not always be open to you. Will you walk through?